Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wharton Tech Talks. I am your host, Sophie. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Dr. Minh Tran from Goodnotes. Minh is the Vice President of Operations and Academic Affairs at Goodnotes. For our audience who are not as familiar with Goodnotes is the best note-taking app for digital handwritten notes on the iPad. Minh, welcome to the show. Where are you dialing in from today?
Thanks so much, Sophie, for having me. I'm dialing in today from Hong Kong.
Cool. And that's where Goodnotes is based, right?
That's where Goodnotes, where we have our first office. So Stephen, our founder and CEO, is from Hong Kong originally. But interestingly, he wrote Goodnotes 1 in his last semester of college in Australia, actually. So Goodnotes got started in Australia when Stephen was in college, and he actually wrote Goodnotes 1 all by himself in one semester. Then after he finished college, he returned to Hong Kong and actually worked solo for the next 5 years, which I think is astonishing to have that stamina and focus, and saw, Goodnotes growing exponentially. He started hiring in 2015 when the Apple Pencil came out. Finally, there's a native stylus for the iPad, which made Goodnotes even better. And then he had lots of ideas for what he could do. So he started hiring, and that's where we then had our first office in Hong Kong. Today, Stephen is in London. He's been there for 2-3 years already. So our HQ follows him and is in London. And we have a beautiful new office in Tottenham Court Road in London. But Hong Kong is still a strong base for us. We now have an equal number, about 40 people in Hong Kong, 40 people in the UK, and 100 who are fully remote between Asia and Europe.
Cool. Wow, it's really exciting that, Goodnotes has been, a global company since day one, and it's some really exciting background. Thank you for sharing. And as a first question I have for you, can you just tell us a little more about yourself and kind of walk us through your career path?
So I am originally from Los Angeles, and I went to Yale for my undergrad, and then I did Teach for America in both New Haven and Los Angeles. So I started my career as a 5th grade math and science teacher.
Cool.
Yeah, and after teaching in the US, I really wanted to teach abroad. So I went on a Yale China teaching fellowship at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And that's how I came to Hong Kong 12 years ago. So I went then from teaching 5th grade math and science to college English and US history. So that was quite a change, but really fun. And I thought I'd be here for 2 years on this fellowship and then go back to the US. But, you can never predict how life turns out. So right. I've been in Hong Kong now 12 years. But after teaching at Chinese U, I wanted to see something outside the classroom, but still be in education, because, education is my passion, really, ever since I can remember. So I joined. A friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you should look at EF education first. That seems like the perfect company for you." I had no idea what EF was. And later on, I found out EF is the largest private education company in the world, with 50,000 employees, 500 offices and schools across the world. So I joined EF as a management trainee and learned what business is. I had no idea what business was. I had been either a student or a teacher and known 4 walls of a classroom. But at EF, I was extremely lucky to be part of their management trainee program. And that was where, I was paired with EF's global executive vice president for branding and PR and marketing. So I learned everything about business from her, Minh Tran, and it was an amazing experience. And in that role, I got to travel a tremendous amount. I think I went to something like 25 to 30 countries, and I was on the road 50% of the time, and really learned how to do business in different countries, from Brazil to Italy to Japan, right? So just vastly different cultures. And what I was doing there was really branding and business development at the group level. So working with governments and schools, universities, as well as companies and media to brand EF as a thought leader in education and work on really large deals. So, and supporting the local teams in their outreach to these organizations. So that was, quite a tremendous experience.
It was.
And so during the pandemic, I was grounded here in Hong Kong. So I moved from EF to being part of a founding team for a brand new K-12 private school in Hong Kong. So I was the founding executive director and went from a very global job to a very local job, from a very large company to a very small company. That was a tremendous experience, learning how to start up a school with no license, no teachers, no students, no curriculum,
Wow.
no building, to all of a sudden we got the license, we have a building, we have teachers, we have students, all within 12 months. So that was an amazing experience. And then I'll end with sharing how I got to Goodnotes. While I was at Bloom Academy, another friend of mine said to me, you should really meet Stephen. And I think Goodnotes would be the perfect place for you, because I've always been really interested in tech. And in every role that I've had, I've been involved on the tech side of things.
Right.
So then I had a coffee with Stephen, and the rest is history.
Wow, amazing. Like you said, you had quite a journey there. You were in the education space, but you sort of pivoted from, teaching to then into a more business role and into founding your own school. That's really cool. But then I guess to zoom into your coffee with Stephen, right? You're moving out from education to, this note-taking application, which is a different space. So what was it about the app, or what was it about Stephen or Goodnotes that really convinced you to make the jump?
Yeah, so I was in the EdTech division at EF. So the jump from EF to Goodnotes isn't a crazy jump, because it's from EdTech to EdTech or consumer tech. But it's still, within the realm of broad user base and something that people love. So that wasn't a huge jump. What was a huge jump, of course, was going from a large conglomerate to a real startup, right? And for me, what convinced me, of course, was like our chemistry. I think whenever you join a startup working directly with the founder, that relationship has to work, and you have to feel really solid and good about that relationship. So for me, that was key. It's just feeling like, okay, Stephen's an extremely humble, clearly smart, and ambitious person. So I could really see myself working day and night with him. But when I did my DD on Goodnotes, what convinced me, because, I had been for years been asked to join different startups. And for me, it was, I never saw much substance in a lot of the startups that were approaching me. And many were living on a dream. Right? They are selling a dream. There often isn't as much substance yet. But with Stephen, this Goodnotes is substance. Everything here is substance, right?
It's not just a dream.
It's not just a dream. Like, it's, of course, he has big dreams, but what he's built already has a lot of substance, given that, Goodnotes has been profitable since day one. It's been growing like crazy. So during the 3 years of the pandemic, from 2020 to 2022, Goodnotes' monthly active user base grew 10x, from 2 mil to 20 mil, and now we're at 24 mil. So I really see that substance and see the real business behind it, as well as there being so much more that we can still do with Goodnotes, right? So not only is there substance in what, Stephen has built, but there are also tremendous opportunities that he hadn't at that point even started working on yet. So when I joined Goodnotes, so when I had that coffee with Stephen, Goodnotes was pay to download one time,
right,
at a very low price point. I believe at that time it was $7.99 lifetime one-time download, but pay to download. So you have to already, before even opening the app, you already paid, right?
You have to pay before you get to see all the magic.
What that means is if you move to a freemium model, you open up that top of funnel. You let people experience the app before making a decision, and then moving to subscription, moving to enterprise. So there's so many opportunities left, and other fun opportunities like a marketplace within the app for digital stationery. So these are all things that we've been working on in the last 18 months that I've been at Goodnotes. Just 18 months, but we've already launched all these things. And yeah, we've grown tremendously even since I've joined. When I joined, we were 80 people, and now we're 180 people in 18 months.
Oh, that's crazy growth. Given that we just came out from, COVID, and then we're in this recession, but you still deliver this amazing growth. This is just amazing. But I also, as a Goodnotes user myself, I'm actually taking notes on my iPad with Goodnotes right now. I definitely see the potential because the product really sells itself.
Exactly.
I got to know Goodnotes through word of mouth, and I opened up the app. It took me 5 minutes to realize how great this product is. I had so many aha moments in the first 5 minutes. So this is just a great product that we all believe have a great future ahead. But sort of going off of your point about the future growth strategies, looking into the future, I know people are talking about AI. People are talking about different technologies that are emerging right now. What is the biggest vision you have, or vision strategies you have for Goodnotes right now?
Yeah, so Stephen would be better to answer this than myself, but I'll do my best to summarize for you Stephen's vision. Of course, we want to be the best and the most popular app. So when we spoke to external parties, often they say, oh, you're priced too cheaply, right? Because right now we're $9.99 per year. Not per month, it's $9.99 per year.
Great news for me, but it is a very low price, yes.
It is a really low price, and even relative to other apps out there, note-taking apps out there, we're still lower, even though, we were last year iPad app of the year. So out of 1 million apps on the App Store, we were chosen as the only app of the year by Apple last year. So I think, and if you look at any App Store rankings, we're often number one in the productivity, but in some weeks, even number one in all free apps, beating
That's
YouTube.
Crazy.
Beating YouTube.
Wow.
If we can beat YouTube, that's pretty awesome. So we are clearly already the market leader, but we intentionally price lower so that we can be very affordable, particularly for students, thereby being the best and most popular, right? If you're the best, but your price a really high point, then you're not very accessible. So we want to be accessible, which is why, Stephen has literally left money at the table by pricing it much lower, but that is intentional. So I think we want to maintain, and to maintain your position as a market leader in the tech space means that you have to constantly innovate. You can't rest on your laurels, right? Because everyone is looking for that next big thing, to build that next big thing. So we have to constantly push the envelope in what we do in this space. So Stephen was one of the very first, if not the first, to introduce, for example, the lasso tool to a note-taking app. This year in August, when we launched Goodnotes 6, we launched the world's very first generative AI for handwriting. And that was built in-house. That is proprietary machine learning model by Goodnotes machine learning team, not an external LLM. So that's what we have to do in order to stay on top of the game, is by constantly innovating. So the vision is to still be the biggest, the best. And to do that, we think going forward, it is to integrate with AI, just to bring AI into the app in every possible way in order to save time for our users, in order to deliver a seamless experience with them, and so that they don't need to go elsewhere for anything that they might want with LLM, right? So in Goodnotes today, you already have spell check and word complete for handwriting. So we finish your word for you in your own handwriting style, or we correct your misspelling in your own handwriting style. So we already have that. And then we also have AI typing. So Goodnotes is known for handwriting, but actually with the launch of Goodnotes 6, we dramatically improved the typing experience, and we launched AI typing. So you can ask Goodnotes AI to help you to shorten a sentence, lengthen a sentence, paraphrase, summarize, or change the tone of the sentence. So for instance, you may write, Jack is an idiot, but you want to change that tone to being more professional. So our AI might present you with a sentence like, Jack needs more support. So we already have those features, but breaking news next month, we are launching Ask Goodnotes. So this is where, but it will be launched, in a pilot with a number of selected users in beta first. But this is where you can ask Goodnotes, which to help you retrieve any information from a document that you have. And that document could be a 100-page contract, and you're looking for a particular detail, right? Or it could be a whole textbook and you're looking for a particular detail. And we start with that, but in the future, we'll be able to help you do much more to generate other format. And I won't share too much of what we're intending to build for Ask Goodnotes, but, it's going to be very exciting. Now that we have,
for sure.
All these exciting AI development, we can expedite our roadmap. So we were already building spell check and word complete before OpenAI came out with ChatGPT. But with the recent release of all these LLMs, it just helps us to expedite our roadmap.
Got it. Yeah, no, as someone who has firsthand experience with the spell check features, I totally love them. And I'm just so amazed that you were able to deliver that, back end by just a team so lean like yours. That's crazy. And, I have my hopes high for the Ask feature that's coming out. Yeah. So now I wanted to sort of switch gears to focus on the education side of things, because, at the company, you have this dual role in operations and in academic affairs. And I know a lot of us students here, our faculty here, use Goodnotes, in class to take notes, to do slideshows even. It's really been a great experience. But I would just like to, get your insights into what the education system around Goodnotes looks like. What are your initiatives with the different school, different systems? Because you're a global company, I imagine you have a global reach for the education system. How does that work?
Yeah, it's amazing, the number of educators and students who are in the app every day. So our users spend on average 70 minutes a day in the app. And that means they're bringing Goodnotes from class to after class, in a coffee shop studying, or in their dorm room studying, or if they're a teacher, also lesson prepping and using Goodnotes to teach and using Goodnotes to grade. Also, and for professionals, is bring Goodnotes from meeting to meeting, similar to you right now taking notes in this episode, right?
Right.
So that's what we see in terms of how people use Goodnotes. And what we've been doing is really being a tech partner for educators, for school systems. So last month, actually in London, we launched our very own report on what schools can do to safely and effectively adopt AI in their classroom. So how can they evolve coursework, homework, and assessment in the age of AI? So we put out a 100-page guidance on this after speaking to more than 50 experts and stakeholders around the world on this very topic. And we launched the report with the former UK Minister of Education, Lord Jim Knight, who was the Minister of Education under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. And Lord Knight is a very good friend of ours and is helping us to share what we have learned from all these experts to schools across the UK and across the world. So it's research reports like this that we think are very helpful to schools when they're considering how to deploy AI in their classroom. So why did we do this? It's because we have many educators in our app, and many schools want that help. They want to understand what can they do with all these AI, and it's changing every day. How can schools keep up, right? And teachers were not trained to teach with AI. So how can they quickly upskill teachers, and what kind of professional development can they deliver in a short amount of time that can get teachers comfortable with teaching with AI. So first, we put out this research report, and now we're looking to actually work on professional development for teachers. So pairing with schools to help them deploy AI safely in the classroom and evolve their, again, coursework, homework, and assessment, because it's not good enough to just use AI in the classroom. You have to change the nature of your assignments, the nature of your assessments, given all these tools. And it's not good enough to shy away from these tools, because the reality is professionals are using these tools today. So if schools are not teaching kids these tools, then when those students go into the workforce, then they're going to be behind who went to schools that taught them these AI tools. So our position is that schools have to help students understand the limitations, the ethics, right, of these AI tools, and guide them in adopting these tools. And we're very glad to be their partner in all this, as we are using these AI tools in our own work, and we are in the tech space, so we can, we're really on top of the latest and greatest, and can be a thought partner for schools, and also be able to help them with the training of teachers.
Yeah, I think that's a super meaningful initiative that you're doing right here, because you're not just empowering people through your app, but also just helping them shape that mindset to better adapt to the future. And I think that's just something that's very generous of you to be doing, outside of growing your own product, which probably takes a lot of effort already. But I think that's, thank you so much for doing that for our future generations. I think that's great.
I think we feel it's our role, right? Because we are in so many schools. Schools come to us and ask, hey, what do I do with all this AI? So we are in touch with many schools around the world, and we've just heard from them this need. So we thought, okay, let us put together a report to guide you, and then let us deliver the training based on the recommendations from the report for you. And we do this, of course, all at no charge. And actually, we give Goodnotes away for free to schools. And for Stephen, his number one motivation is impact. So that's why we give away, Goodnotes for free to schools. And that's why we do all this work to support schools. And that's why we engage with policymakers like Lord Knight as well in thinking about, okay, how do we regulate this? How do we support schools better with policies and funding? So this is all in the interest of just supporting educators and learners. And for Stephen, the motivation, again, is just impact.
Great. That's, you're bringing together all these amazing resources. You're getting voice from the top. You're getting, people from the bottom all working together for this amazing initiative, which I personally think is great. Great. So now let's transition to, I guess, one of the sections that our audience love the most, which is career advice, especially as we have a lot of MBA students in the audience. They will greatly appreciate if you have any, advice that you personally found very helpful, or you think that everyone should know before, getting in further in their career life.
Wow. Well, my advice is to really pursue your interests. But of course, you have to make sure that those interests can earn you a living, right? But in my own career, I haven't had a long-term, 10-year plan, or I've never had a long-term plan. I've really just pursued what interests me, what speaks to my heart. And you have to trust your instinct in picking the right founder, so to speak. I think I won the lottery with Stephen in picking the right employer. And if you have a chance, to pick your manager. So all this is privilege, right? It's a privilege to be able to pick your manager, pick your employer, pick your founder. But this is a privilege. So if you have this privilege, use it well and trust your instinct. If something smells fishy, run away. And make sure you do your due diligence, really ask everyone that you can, read up on everything that you can. Don't just be attracted to or be pulled by salary, title, or prestige. Really know what it means to work there and where is that company going. And of course, you always want to work in a growing organization, right? like, and a growing industry. So
Yeah, for
if a
sure.
company is in a downturn, if it's like a declining industry, you probably want to go somewhere else. Because when you're in a growing organization, in a growing industry, that means there are many opportunities for progress individually and organizationally, right? When you're in a
Yeah.
declining company, it means they're cutting, they're not adding. When you're in a growing company, they want to grow their people, their teams faster. So there are many more exciting opportunities. I think it's way more fun. Let's just put it this way. It's way
Right.
more fun to work in a growing company, in a growing industry than not. So that's what I think about a lot when I'm picking. I recognize the enormous privilege to be able to pick my next opportunities and then stay for as long as it makes sense. Don't, I think some folks are, again, just pulled by perhaps a bigger title or a higher salary or prestige, and then they leave sooner than they should. I really feel that you should stay for as long as you can grow within that org. There is cost to switching, of course, but I feel more importantly, there's missed opportunity for real development. Because when you stay a bit longer in a place, you can really see how you're growing. And if you're someone who is learning and growing fast, which is one of our core values at Goodnotes, your doors will open for you within that org faster than outside of that org. I saw recently some research on new CEOs for listed companies, your Fortune 500. They're all insiders, right? I think it's something like 80% are all insiders. They're not hired from the outside. And even when they hire from, so to speak, outside, they were former employees of that company. So they may have gone somewhere else, but then they hired back as CEO. Or they were a board member of that company, right? So basically, when organizations today look for that next big leader, they're looking for those who have been here, who have been through thick and thin, who understands the idiosyncrasy of that company. Because every company is weird. Every company has its unique ways of working, right? So when you're looking for that big leader, you need to someone who understands how you work, understand where you've come from, and see where you can go. So I think there is real value in really staying for at least a few years and not even a decade. And if you look at all the tech CEOs today, they're true insiders.
Yeah, so it's passion gets you started, it unlocks the opportunity for you, but it's your dedication, commitment that will get you far in life. I think that
Everybody
makes a lot of
wants
sense.
someone who's loyal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're thinking about who do you want to take the reins of your company, who do you want to give big responsibilities to? It's someone you need to be able to trust, someone that you've seen is loyal. And by loyal, I don't mean blind faith, right? But I mean who has, worked hard and sweated to deliver for the org, and who has grown with the org, and who has that integrity, and who carries the values of the org. So I think that's what people look for when they're picking their new leaders. It doesn't need to be CEO, right? It could be a functional leader, it could be a team leader, whatever that may be. But I think that's what people look for. And as you said, passion gets you through the door, but hopefully you are able to find passion within the role as well and within the org that you're already in. So sharing our passion is another core value of Goodnotes. And that's because we think that if people bring the whole selves to work and really be able to share their passion, personal passion, work passion with their colleagues, that's going to keep them going. That's going to keep their engine hot, So I think, find that passion to sustain you and stay for as long as you can. Again, it has to make sense, right? Of course, you need to be treated fairly and all that good stuff. You need to be given opportunities to grow.
Right.
But if you pick the right company, pick the right manager, mentor, founder, they're going to give you that. They're going to give you those opportunities to grow. They're going to advocate for you. So I feel extremely lucky, for instance, when I was at EF to have worked with Ming. my manager and mentor. She has double degrees from Harvard and is a mad genius. She has 1,000 ideas in a minute. And we work so well together because I could understand her genius and help her to organize her ideas and help translate her ideas to the team and help put together an execution plan for those ideas, right? So I let her be that mad genius, but make her ideas a reality. So that's how we work so well together. And because I could do that for her and was not intimidated by or annoyed by her wild ideas, I think that then made me more valuable to her and allow us to have a really long working relationship. And she advocated for me and gave me opportunities to grow. And that was so amazing. So I'm grateful I think you need that. And in your career, particularly early on, as you're learning the ropes, you need to find those mentors and managers who will do that for you. And you need to have that chemistry again, right? So you got to have that fit. And for me today at Goodnotes with Stephen, I really feel his trust. I think as you get more senior, it's about trust. So I really see him over the last 18 months trusting me more and more. And we can be really honest with each other now. But you're always a bit more polite at the beginning when you get to know each other. And then you may be more guarded, remain guarded if you don't have that trust, right? But because we've built on that trust, that initial trust, and now I feel we really have complete trust with each other, then we can be not guarded and be really open with each other. And you can't work together at a senior level without that. You can't work well together, and it will not last without that honesty. That honesty doesn't mean disrespect, right? It doesn't mean like saying whatever is on your mind. Of course, you should still be respectful and diplomatic, but it is being able to share openly your concerns or your ideas. So as you grow more senior, I think then that becomes really important.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Trust doesn't come easy. It really comes through a lot of honest conversation, really being able to express your true dedication to a common business goal that's shared by everyone.
I think also trust comes from going through hard things together.
For sure. I think in the startup world,
yes, trust comes from like doing hard things together and making it through the other side still whole and still loving each other. So I think that's how Stephen and I have built trust with each other, is having done really, really hard things together, from internal change management to moving our business model, changing that completely, and experiencing, that initial blowback, which we knew we would get when we moved to a subscription. But now we're winning back users because they see the value of that subscription. But that was hard. That was really hard. I saw how he operated in those hard times, and he saw how I operated in those hard times. And from that, I think we've really built our trust.
That's an amazing story. But, in the past 18 months, you were able to accomplish so much. You overcame those obstacles, which is, just amazing. And I think that really, is great advice to maybe founders in our audience who are, looking to do something as great as Goodnotes in the future, and that, obstacles are also an opportunity for you to build trust with your team. That's great.
Absolutely. They gotta see you lead well in hard times. It's easy to lead well in good times.
In good times, yeah.
Of course, we can all enjoy that ride together easily. But in hard times, or doing hard things, maybe not in hard times, right? It's more about, sometimes it's about hard times. Other times it's about doing hard things together. And they'll be looking to you to give them confidence in those hard times or when you're doing hard things. And they need to see your passion, your confidence in getting through that.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you for all these brilliant advice to our students and our founders in the audience. Before we part ways today, I have some fun rapid fire questions for you to sort of get to know you a little better before we end our session today. But what I'll do is I will throw you these questions, but I will challenge you to state your answers in less than 1 or 2 sentences. Are you ready for the
Okay.
challenge?
Wow. I'm not sure.
Okay, we could try. All right.
Please go ahead. Yes.
All right. Okay, first question. What is your favorite feature of Goodnotes?
Lasso tool. Everybody's favorite feature of Goodnotes. You can do magic with the lasso tool.
Awesome. Second question. What was your last Google search?
My last Google search, so it's actually looking up an Obama quote because I think you may ask me for a favorite quote. So I'm looking up that exact
Wow. Okay. I do have that coming up, which brings me nicely to that question. What was the quote?
So the quote is, actually it's an Obama Martin Luther King Jr. quote. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. That gives me such optimism in these crazy times that we live in that, things may be insane, but the arc of the moral universe is long and it bends towards justice.
Amazing. Well, that's all I have for our episode today. Min, thank you so much again for joining us today. And thank you for all the insights, about your story, about Goodnotes, and about Steven's vision. I think all that is great, and especially your advice to, our audience, I think will be valuable. And, we will just stay tuned to Goodnotes and look forward to all the magic that's coming our way.
Thank you, Sophie, for this. It's been a really wonderful and meaningful conversation. Thank you for being a Goodnotes fan. That is always awesome. And for those in the audience, if you haven't tried Goodnotes before, give it a try. We are best on the tablet with a stylus, so not yet very good on the phone, but we also have a desktop experience that's not bad, especially if you are typing. So give us a try. And if you're already a fan, stay tuned. We have so much more coming next year. So as you said, you'll see more magic coming your way soon.